Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. In the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful. Peace and blessings be upon our beloved Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Dear listeners, brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome back to our program in a brand new show, The Modern Family, where we attempt to bridge the gap between generations. And today we have a hot topic, social networking. I'm sure that this topic would be news to a lot of families, and it will be absolutely new to them, not knowing anything about it. And it's something that probably teenagers and children would choose to talk about in front of their families because they don't know anything about it and they can find something to laugh about. Okay? Social networking has been occupying our homes and definitely keeping our children away for a very long time. We don't even sense them. So probably for some parents that is a good thing. We don't see them, we don't hear them, and we can focus on doing our own stuff, whether they are useful or not. However, there is a lurking danger in social networking. Not trying to scare you there, guys, but we're trying to be realistic in the positives and negatives about social networking and how shall we use it wisely, how to teach our children to use social networking wisely. But before going there, we need to introduce it to our parents. So teenagers, if you don't like listening to the next part, if you feel it's boring, okay, we won't bore you. You can go out and come back in 2 minutes. Here we have our distinguished guest, Hadeel Al-Musa, who is a journalist and a mother of 2 teenagers. Assalamu alaikum, Hadeel.
Assalamu warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
How are you doing today?
Well, alhamdulillah, very well.
And congratulations for the month of Ramadan. And how is the schedule in Ramadan with your teenagers and social networking? Has it changed with Ramadan or is it still the same?
Well, actually, we as thank you very much for having me over on the show. And I would like to say that as a parent, I will share my experience in this and as an activist on social media as well. So social media in Ramadan actually is occupying a lot of our time with a lot of programs that we're having on TV. I think that social network is playing as a rating rank. I mean, people do go there and see which program that has most followers, has hashtags. So you go watch according to reviewers, according to people thinking about those programs. And kids are, trying to break their fast by breaking their time through using their social network as much as they could. I think so.
Okay, great. What do you think, Hatem? What is the trend in your opinion? Is social networking increasing or decreasing during Ramadan?
Well, definitely we have more time to spend at home during Ramadan as we have the short hours, working hours. And for our children, they are off from school at this point of time. So this gives them more time on social networking. And definitely we have a lot of social activities during Ramadan, so they're busy updating their profiles and telling their friends about what is going on, where they're invited today, what sort of food they're eating, and other things.
Interesting. Yeah, in terms of it's very interesting to know that us as Omanis, whether children or teenagers, according to one of my friends who runs a social media company, that we use our peak time is 12 noon and iftar time and before suhoor.
Really?
Whether kids or adults, it doesn't really matter. This is our peak time. So if you think about it, noon, most of the people should be at work.
Yeah.
So how come they come interactive in Twitter and social media? Kids are sleeping that time. Most of them are sleeping that time. So it's adults who actually are using the social media at noontime. When you come to iftar, it's teenagers, it's kids, and adults. Before suhoor, it's all of them. So it's an indicator that we need to start.
As you mentioned, the 12 noon, I think for adults who are working, I think it's the shutdown period at work. Normally, once it's 12, people mentally are prepared to go home.
And pretending to work.
And pretending to work.
Yeah.
So that could explain the activity going on at 12 noon. But
Before
at
iftar?
before iftar and before suhoor, which is very
during
exciting.
Iftar, actually.
During
it's
iftar.
It's not before iftar. It's during
Wow.
iftar where we are active. I mean, I do go immediately after iftar from myself because, or the thing is just to see the reviews on the show that I watch.
During iftar, I don't even recognize my own family. I'm just busy eating.
No, we watch that. We have a show that we watch on the iftar, and then we go to see the reviews to think how people actually thinking
Well,
about
I
that.
think Omanis are becoming more multitasking now, that they can eat and
Well, maybe that's
and use
one
the
of
social
the,
network at the
that's
same
one
time.
of the things that social media resulted in our life.
Yeah.
That we multitask. We cannot keep focus or attention on one thing
We'll
at a time.
come back to that. We'll come
Good.
back to that. And we would like to introduce our parents to social networking. We've mentioned it already a million times. But what is it? What is social networking for the parents? So parents, please pay attention.
As a parent,
Yes.
I would say that for us, when we started using social media, it was part of how to communicate with others or how to have our network internationally, locally, work-wise. According to research, I've noticed that for the new generation, it's actually part of their identity. It's not any longer as a mean of communication. If we think about this as a parent, that if the kids see this is part of who he is, and this is how he's going to express himself, we need to think that we're talking different language here. For us, it's only a mean of communication. I can switch it off and be paranoid for a while, then I go back. For the kids, it's you're taking part of who they are in life.
So social networking is using technology like the internet, either via mobile phones or laptops or computers,
Or tablets.
and try and communicate with others via specific websites. Is that correct?
For the parents, yes.
And-
But for the teenagers, I told you, it's part of their identity. If I may explain this more, that this is where they draw their image. This is how they communicate. Like a lot of in some of the countries where they use social network or where they use the virtual world. Let's say the virtual world actually includes the website and the social media. There is the element of interaction.
Okay.
The virtual world, you have a website, you have to send an email, and you have to wait and respond or something like this.
Yeah.
Otherwise, in the social media, there is a very fast response that you can put whatever comment.
Instant response.
Exactly. And the thing is, sometimes you put things, especially for kids or even adults, sometimes you put things, then you start thinking about them. Why did I say that?
Yeah.
It's basically, it's like you're communicating, it's one of your body language in a different way.
So communication became very fast.
Very fast, and this is the way of communicating. Instead of, this is my voice, this is how I'm communicating. But for
Yeah.
the kids, it's this is how they communicate. This is how they speak to you.
So part of social networking for parents now, we would like them to know, is probably some of them have heard of Facebook,
Yes.
Twitter, MySpace in the old ages.
Yeah.
Huh?
MySpace was in our ages.
Yeah.
Instagram is growing very fast.
Instagram,
YouTube,
WhatsApp.
WhatsApp.
Okay.
Yes.
Let's introduce each one of these very briefly. So what is Facebook? What is Facebook? If I'm a 50-year-old parent here, would like to know something about Facebook. What is it, and what can my child do with it? What can it do to him or her?
Well, Facebook, I think it's from the title. It's the face that you're putting, or the face that the image that you would like to have. If you go to the history, or if you take the holistic approach of the Facebook, it started differently and it's been utilized now differently. So I don't think and the objectives or how people use Facebook is different now. But one of my friends, Dr. Faiq Manif, he's a Saudi author and a journalist as well. He described Facebook as a coffee shop where you go and you have your coffee and you enjoy the environment, you enjoy your friends. So usually, and according to research, and I like this description because according to research, people when they get to Facebook, they don't have in mind what they're looking for. Twitter, you're looking for discussion, you're looking for something to...
A particular interest.
Absolutely. While Facebook, you're open. So usually
You're just wandering around.
Yeah, wandering around for 5 minutes and then you spend 1 hour.
Yeah.
or 2 hours.
So it is a mean of communicating with friends, sharing pictures, images, notes,
And there's a lot
whatever.
of pages.
Not necessarily with friends,
There's
Dr.
pages.
Weil. Sometimes you meet new friends, people who you didn't know.
So are they friends? So they use the word friends or the term friends.
Yes.
Are they friends? Because you could see people
Well,
with 5,000 friends.
Absolutely.
Really?
Facebook really redefined what friendship is. If we come to the, to Facebook, most of the people who are previously, who are very active, usually they have communication problem skills when dealing with social communication problems, or they have antisocial behavior. They cannot actually communicate with themselves, like with others. So the Facebook made life easier for them to communicate with
And
everyone.
express themselves.
Actually, it made life for all of us. I mean, you start knowing other people's interest. Now, Facebook started as a friends and communication. If you go to the definition part, as far as I understand it, it started as a communication that you're trying to meet only the friends you know at the beginning. You only accept people that you know. And then it grew and became that you have virtual friends and you have new friends. And actually, Facebook gives you that question when you add friend or accept. Do you know this person outside Facebook? They're doing their research to see how much they've changed in our lives, how they transformed these relationships. Now Facebook's becoming like you're liking pages where you get informed, where you get where there's reviews about books, there's reviews about movies, there's
discussions,
but it's less on Facebook. It's less discussion, I would say. This is how I see it. I see it's more of exposure to so many things in life.
Or should we change it from discussion to comments?
Comments,
You would post something and then people would agree or disagree about it.
Absolutely.
So it's not like a formal discussion. It's just
discussions.
People
more of
say what they think about what you've posted.
They will say by liking or not liking. That's a way of saying. Okay. The like concept is new.
Yeah. Okay, so that's Facebook.
Yeah, that's Facebook.
That's Facebook.
As far as my understanding, yeah.
So to summarize, what is Facebook? It's a coffee shop.
It's a coffee shop.
Okay, you post in your picture or pictures. You share
or a quote, or a
quote,
review, whatever. Yeah.
You write what you like, what you don't like.
Or you join a particular group that you have interest in.
It's like writing a very informal CV about yourself and sharing it with the world, or sharing it with the people you need to accept as friends.
It's the image that you're trying to draw about yourself out there without speaking. Through the interest, through the pages that you like, through the pictures that you post. And I actually say it's a lot about you, unconsciously. According to research, that this is the ideal image that we would like to be. So sometimes it's not true.
Yeah. Okay, we'll come back to that. And now we'll introduce the other part, which is Twitter, another website. What is Twitter to parents? I would like parents to know, what is it? When people talk about Twitter, I want parents or people who are 50 years old or more, okay? Sorry, no insult, but this is probably the majority at that age group.
Before Hadil, she introduces Twitter, once an old man asked me and said, "What's up with this little bird? Why is everybody so concerned with this little bird?"
Let's put a name to the bird.
It's a good question.
Yeah, it is. The thing is, I want to define it. I would say that I'm using Twitter in a very different way than my kids are using. And that made me really stop seeing that we are using it according to our own interests. Like, one of the researchers said that social media created celebrities more than leaders. This is caught in the book that I told you about, The New Digital Age. When you see this, that's creating more celebrities. Like, for instance, we have Justin Bieber, who have more than 40 million followers, and he's getting 500 tweets in 20 seconds. I'm not quite sure, because when my daughter told me about this information, they follow celebrities. They see what the celebrities do. They have different kind of interests. And the thing is, they have a lot of fighting on Twitter. So it's more of a word expression. For us as adults, for me, I go to hashtags and see what kind of discussions are concerning the people. Let's bear in mind, in Oman, generally, the active users are around 14,000. So 14,000 active users on Twitter it doesn't represent the whole society, but it does represent
A majority.
as well. The thing is, there's a lot of adults, there's a lot of discussion, and it's more of you're talking intellectual level. Because even the adults who are using Twitter, they usually express ideas, express thoughts, rather than pictures and just interest.
And I think many young children, they are not very much into Twitter. They are not very much interested into Twitter because of the lack of images and let's say, for example, videos, or because it's more that what you express yourself, and then people will view exactly what you said.
And to put it into simpler terms, Twitter is a place where you could open an account in the internet.
Well, you can follow whoever you love without him accepting you or without.
Yes, and you could see other accounts where people are talking about or expressing their views.
Yeah.
You could express your own views, but you are limited to 140 characters.
Yes.
Okay. So you could type a sentence or two and share
a quote.
A quote. You could share it with the world.
You can interact in hashtags. Hashtags is like a discussion rooms that initiated by Twitter.
So this is the good thing, that you could share with millions or gazillions of people
Absolutely,
out there. The drawback would be is that when you try and choose a role models like musicians, actors, and follow them. By following them, it means we are trying to learn what is the latest that they have been doing.
Absolutely.
Because in Twitter you could use it on your phone and tell everyone, I'm doing this now, I'm shopping, I'm eating this, I'm at this bar, I'm at this. Of course, when they're talking about bars, this is in the Western society that is coming into our society totally unfiltered.
Absolutely.
Okay, and we get used to it, and children are becoming used to that. I have some very interesting research facts to share here with the listeners. 500,000 people join Twitter daily. Over 12 million followers, 12 million people, each one of them is following at least 64 person. What that means, that on my phone daily, I'm getting messages from at least 25 different people. Now in 24 hours, if this is only the amount of information I'm getting from Twitter only, okay, excluding WhatsApp, excluding emails, excluding text messages, rest in peace, excluding
chat rooms.
Okay. It's a lot of information.
Yes, a lot of information, a lot of distraction.
In very limited amount of time. Here brings another question. We are now getting used to information coming into us very quickly, and we are trying to adapt very quickly. It is really naive that we think that all of this and this cyber world and all the social network issue is not affecting our most important organ in our body, the brain. And in fact it does, because our brains are trying to adapt constantly. All the time what it does is trying to adapt. And
But
every time
doesn't it have the capability?
It does have the capability. However, every time you do a task and change into another, the brain has to change its orientation. Okay? Which means that you are losing focus. You are losing focus. You can't focus for a long time. And there is some alarming statistics here, is that 10 years ago, the average attention period for any human being is about 12 minutes. Today, it's less than a goldfish. A goldfish is 8 seconds. Her memory, the memory of a goldfish, okay, or attention span is 8 seconds. We have dropped from 12 minutes
To 8 seconds.
to 5 seconds. So a fish has a longer attention span than a lot of human beings today. And that is down to the fast-moving media. We even in YouTube you have videos with between 2 and 4 minutes, okay, and
30 seconds,
and you express yourself in 140 characters, 140 letters only, or words, and things are moving very fast.
Yep.
What does it do to the attention at schools? What's your comment on this?
See, I think this is affecting us as well. To keep attention on one thing for quite long, it's becoming a hard thing to do. We have to put effort to keep attention on one thing at a time. But the thing is, if you think of it as advantage, that most of the people are able to multitask. So you can listen and you can work and you can do other comments, which we as a woman, we do this anyhow. But the thing is, I'm saying that it gave that capability. I don't know how much research has been done on the cognitive ability now, but I think because the kids are growing and they do have that ability to multitask without really teaching them. For us, it was sort of, yes, we learned them, but we're putting effort to do that. Yes, we are losing attention, we are losing focus, but it's good when you're working on a couple of things at the same time and doing all of them in a good way.
Is it multitasking or is it distractions?
It's both. It depends how you put them, which context.
Because the average worker today checks their email 30 to 40 times an hour. That's once every 1.5 minutes.
No, but I think you're mixing up between two things, two different things, because the sense of responsibility. If, like we were talking about 10 years ago, you didn't have all these technologies. People were also distracted by other things, like newspapers and chatting with friends.
I agree.
So it's a sense of responsibility. It's not really the effect of social networking. It might be, but also it goes back to your values.
And I think it goes back to your discipline, self-discipline. Like, for instance, now you have Twitter and you have all this, you are either caught up with the distraction, or either you try to control that distraction, whether it's social media, whether it's WhatsApp, whether it's text. You have to put timing. It's not easy. Anything, any new habit comes in life, anything that we are learning, if we don't really think subconsciously, it will get into our lives.
Hadil, you gave us a very good example before we started the show. You said that your mobile is on silent.
Well, actually,
except for calls.
Except for calls, yes.
For calls. So
everybody works with me, he knows that.
This is part of discipline, isn't it?
Yeah.
You can choose. You can have the choice to be like everybody else and read every single message that comes in and get distracted. Yeah. But you chose not to do that. So I think it goes back to the person. What is important to you in your life? What are the values that you want to set for yourself? And then you go on.
And this is the thing that we need to teach our children in terms of, like, for instance, we were talking about parenting, that we want to aware the parents about the means, about the social network, and that's very important for the parents. One of the things that you will know about your kids, how disciplined they are. What do they share?
Yeah.
For us as a parent, you will know so much things about your kids. Like, for instance, my son knows how to speak Japanese now through YouTube.
MashaAllah.
I was surprised myself because he watched YouTube. I never asked him what you were watching, but I go back and forth and I see some,
What's his name?
His name is Abdullah.
Abdullah, konnichiwa.
Mushi mushi.
Well, there you go. So if you go previously, a couple of years back, we have to go to institute to learn these things, but now they can learn this. So it's educational tool that, like YouTube, and this is for the YouTube. For the Twitter, it depends on what kind of things that they're getting. Now, in one of the GCC countries, they have, under the CSR, they have social media workshops to make the parents learn or communicate with the children through social network.
I really like that.
Yes, and it's because the thing is, one of the guys that I can't remember the name now. The fasting thing, that he was saying that he was trying to bring teenagers to work with him as a charity in the church. He's a Christian, and he didn't know how to do that. He's almost 70, so he created a group. And, brought all the teenagers in that town in that group, and he started bringing them through this. Even in face-to-face communication, he was communicating with them through the group, so they were interacting more on the group than they are with him physically. The thing is, so we need to learn that this is their language. I'm not saying that we have to follow, but we can't really control it unless we understand it.
Exactly.
We need to understand. The thing is, some parents are getting to this, and all their objective is to control the kid, and the kids, he will create a couple of accounts I don't know about.
Yeah.
It's very easy to create accounts in different.
I think parents need to understand that
What's beyond the
what's
surface.
beyond, and internet has become the oxygen of our children.
And it's not evil.
Yeah.
The social networking, Facebook, Twitter, is not evil in its own.
Absolutely.
We need to discipline ourselves. We need to learn how to adapt a life with technology according to our values, according to our religion, according to our culture.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And we are learning a lot
yeah.
from this, by the way, Yani.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think while we should go back to the beginning, when social networking started, we just pushed it towards our kids. We didn't do our part of educating ourselves. We did not spend time to explain to our children what is the value of social networking, what can they do, what can't they do, what is appropriate, how they can be guardians to themselves without their parents being around. We just left it, and now that maybe it has created an awareness among us, an issue, we're concerned that they're spending a lot of time, their social skills, physical social skills are being affected.
Absolutely.
Then we start worrying what to do and find out more.
I think it was from the political point of view that it was underestimated generally, the social media, until what happened in Egypt. But I would really, really recommend that if all us as a parents will go and watch the Social Network movie. This is where the beginning of social media started. Why? It doesn't really matter how it reached, how it's becoming right now, but we need to understand how it started. Why did it go, the speed went very high through the teenagers, through kids in college. So it has that thing that they see themselves in it. They see something for them. And for us, we need to understand there's a lot of values as well that actually it's adding to our lives through social network. And there's a lot of advantages as well. But everything has two sides. In order for us to communicate, as a parent, you will know a lot about your son, even the phrases that they use. Their language, how strong they are in English, in Arabic, and other languages, what kind of friends, virtual friends they're creating. Yeah. This tells you a lot about your son, about your teenage son. As we were teenagers one day, it's not easy to express. Social network made it very easier for them to express.
And maybe in our time, it wasn't very common to express yourself. Or it was even decent maybe to express yourself in public.
Yes, absolutely. And there's another thing. It's actually increasing. There is something called Kik. I don't know if you heard about it. It's videos that you shoot yourself, I think, for less than a minute. Not quite sure of the duration, but it's increasing very strong between the teenagers. They shoot themselves wherever they are. They sing, they do, and it's known that my daughter is trying to keep me away from Kik, but the thing is, it's
you found out about it too.
I found about it because Ahlam is using it, so she made a big fuss about it.
Wow.
Yeah, so there's temporal. I think between teenagers, there's a lot of social network for teenagers, and we don't know about. We know about the ones that been old enough for us to know about in the market.
Can we catch up with them? Can all these new technologies?
Well, I think we can catch up with them if we know why we're using it.
Okay. Thank you very much, Hadil. We are certainly enjoying this talk today and the discussions, and we can't really stop. And we are overdue for the break. Dear listeners, you can call us on 24602058. Join the discussion today on 24602058 after the break.
The Modern Family.
They say that no one increases in his akhirah except that it harms his dunya. And no one increases in his dunya except that it harms his akhirah. By the nature, because they're two opposites. So increase in one is decrease in the other. Now this does not mean wealthy people automatically you assume that, there's a famous story, it's a story. It's like a teaching story. It doesn't. There's a famous story, it's a Moroccan story, right? About, there was a Zahid who heard about this Sheikh who had, that he was a big wali of Allah. And so he wanted to go see him. And he came down from the mountain, he was riding his lion. And he gets there, and the Sheikh lives in a big palace. And he said, this is so-and-so's house? And he's shocked because he lives up in a cave. And then the sheikh comes out and he says, where can I put my lion? He said, put him in my barn with my cow. He said, no, he'll eat the cow. He said, no, just put him in the barn with the cow. So he puts him in the barn with the cow. Then they have this big dinner, and the sheikh eats a few bites and he says, Astaghfirullah. This is so luxurious. He said, I live on water and dates. And then that night, the sheikh goes to sleep. The Zahid stays up all night praying, and he hears the sheikh snoring next door. He's completely shocked about it. He decides the next morning after Fajr, he's just leaving. So he goes to get his lion. He goes in, and the cow ate the lion. So he says to the man, where's my lion? He said, your lion's just like you. It's all outward. You see. And he said, and you thought my cow was a harmless cow, but he was a lion inside. Anyway, the point of that story is, you have to be very careful because outward appearances can fool people, right? And Sidi Ahmed Zarruq says an amazing thing. Well, we'll get to that when we get to having a bad opinion of people.
Ladies and gentlemen, dear listeners, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome back to the Modern Family. The topic today is social networking, and our guest today is Hadeel Al-Musa, a journalist and a mother of 2 teenagers. Such a hot topic, social networking, as such, an important one as well, because it is a sword of 2 edges. And here I would like to read some of the statistics that was done and some of the research, quote, some research results that was done. We have become, as adults and children, too much into social networking, and we can't detach ourselves from it. There was a research, an experiment really, was done on a bunch of students. Their mobile phones, which is the gateway into Facebook and Twitter and social networking, their mobile phones were withdrawn for 24 hours only. And the immediate symptoms that was observed in these students were 3 main symptoms. One was phantom phone vibrations. They felt as if the phone is on silent and it's vibrating and attempting to reach for a phone that they don't even have.
Interesting.
Yeah, they don't even have it, but they always try and reach to their pockets to take their mobile phones and try and look at it. The third finding was fidgeting and restlessness.
Meaning?
They're very fidgety. They can't stand still.
Yeah.
They're moving, they're anxious.
You can try this with your kid and it will
Yes,
see that.
yes.
Yeah.
So this is one study, and this is on students, and this is happening in classrooms. There was another research where they have questioned 2,500 teachers, and over 85% of them said that a major source of distractions is social media via mobile phones in schools. One other study showed that a particular hormone is produced more while someone is online, either tweeting or Facebooking, which is oxytocin. Oxytocin is a hormone that stimulates trust and empathy. Normally it spikes when you use social network means. Normally the oxytocin hormone is produced when someone is talking or speaking or interacting with either family or friends face to face, and it relaxes the human being and keeps them feel safe. On the other hand, adrenaline is also released, and there are sudden changes all the time in the internet. Adrenaline is also forced to be produced while we are on the net, and this is, according to research, is an addictive hormone. Stress, and interestingly, stress hormones production drops, and this actually explains why we feel much more relaxed expressing ourselves when we are sitting in front of a computer speaking to people without even looking at them,
without knowing their identity.
We take down our guards, and we feel comfortable sharing the most intricate parts of our lives and private things like pictures of our families. What sort of dangers lurk behind this, do you think, Hadid?
Yeah, well, the thing is, I was pretty much impressed with the information that you got, that this tells us a lot about ourselves, that if we feel stress-free and relaxed and doing these things while using social media, there's a lot of dangers in terms of if our kids feel pretty much relaxed and feel safe using this, they might post a lot of personal things and, pictures, videos, things about themselves that they might be abused one day. I'm not saying that they might be abused for any reason. Well, there's a lot of hackers online. There's a lot of criminal in the virtual world that we don't know about. The kids, I've seen that report on the CNN, and I was very much shocked that they were trying to track someone, and they went to him. Actually, she was a lady. They went to her through the kids. Her kids were posted very old pictures, because anything's posted on Facebook, it stays there. They can they can't go back to it, regardless of how old. Or you might delete it as well, but it's there already. Anything actually in your smartphone doesn't get deleted. So this is how I've been informed. So the thing is, they went back to her kids and got those information that the lady denied. And the thing is, some kids, when it's like in the real world, some people get really, bullying or abused on the virtual world, and because they're so afraid, they're so afraid to tell us that they posted that thing or they made that information available or certain pictures of them, they will go more,
in depth.
In depth, absolutely. And then they will try to sort that problem with their friends, and they will get nowhere.
Maybe we're taking it for granted that we are living in Oman and it's safe and these things don't happen, but they could happen.
Yeah.
Things change. And it's not going to be the safe environment that we always had.
Yeah, the thing is, if you watch this TV show which is called Wi-Fi on NBC, it brings these things, but in a very funny way. But these things are kids going through them. They're going through this. So we need to understand in terms of safety, privacy. What is privacy? Why would you post something very intimate? Why would you post something that you show people, like, I don't know, my daughter sometimes shows me pictures and videos of people that I know their parents, and you go like, why? I had this coincidence with my daughter at the beginning. I know she's listening now. I added her on Facebook. Well, that was 4 years back. I added her on Facebook, and then she didn't accept me, although we were friends.
And you were wondering why?
I'm a cool mom, and I have my Facebook account since ever. So when I told her, why didn't you accept me? And she was like, Mom, you're still my mom. How can I accept you? I was like, why? She was like, there is no boundaries on Facebook. That's the thing. If there is no boundaries, the thing is, I felt the same way when my dad had an account, and I was like, how am I having my dad on my account? But the thing is, it's like we're trying to get over that barrier that we have respect with my parents. We should keep respect, but we should know our boundaries, which we don't know because it's still virtual. It's untangible.
And there is also the danger of having people pretending to be somebody else, and our children wouldn't know. Someone probably...
We're facing these things, by the way.
Wow.
I had one, my Facebook is public, and I had one of the people which had a female name, and he sent a message saying that, by the way, I'm a guy, I'm not a woman. I'm just saying my name is like this because I get accepted amongst others if I'm a woman. I didn't reply back, but the thing is, this gives you an indication that there are some sick people out there, or there are a lot of fake identities out there that they can do whatever, because you can steal any picture, you can post anything. There is no limits.
There's no security boundaries.
There is, although Facebook is trying their best, but actually Facebook is created. No one has any. Not Facebook. It's the virtual, even the smartphones. You don't have any private life anymore.
How can we control this now? As parents, we have talked about Facebook, how good it is, how bad it can be. How can we control it?
As a parent, I think you should know what do you want to be known about you out there. This is how I'm a parent. How much do I would like my life to be out there to the people? Because it's not out there in Oman only. It's actually international. So how much of my life I would like? We all had, in a way or another, mistakes, especially with maturation of Facebook. It started when established, it was different, it was more personal, it was more friends. But now it's a public. And the thing is, how much about yourself you want to be out there? How much of your kid's life want to be out there? And even the kid, if a lot of them, because of the adrenaline hormone, that means there is no excitement in their life. Their life is boring. So as a parent, how can I do something? Either make the most of the advantages, because there's a lot of advantages on social network, but يعني أقل ما فيها إنه you control the discipline. How many times you start controlling the discipline in diet, in sports, in social network? It's part of them. It's one of the habits.
But I think we need to understand where we're going with this. You mentioned something very important about posting pictures and videos about your personal life, teenagers. People like to get the attention of others.
Absolutely.
And when others give you the attention, you feel good about yourself. Especially when they say something nice about
all
you,
of us,
or when they comment about you. So that itself encourages you to do these things, to post pictures, to post videos. Maybe you might not get that attention at home. Maybe your parents are so busy. Okay, they don't give you even the quality time that you need. Sometimes you need to express yourself, and your parents are so tired, and they are not there listening to you. But you get attention from thousands of people out there. Then why don't you post it out there?
Which you can make, again, the most of this, that knowing your son's interest or your daughter's interest, and making her understanding how she can brand herself in this. And then they can post the good things about them, the things that they can have, because social network actually increased even the intellectual interaction between others. People express through photos, through drawings, through hobbies. So they can't get the attention. They still can get. In fact, you know what? We all need attention. And this is a very strong element. Why? Even as a kid, he doesn't want attention from you anymore. He does. But he wants more than that, because his identity is not, it's virtual. He has another identity on the virtual world where he needs to get attention. That attention can be drawn in a way that, as I told you, that they might share their hobbies. They might share. In fact, you as a parent, you will understand your son's interest more through social network and what kind of social mean he's using. Some kids use Twitter, some kids use Instagram, some kids are still addicted to Facebook. There's a very interesting that thing. They had a sort of questionnaire for kids. It's kids and adults. I'm saying from the age of 15 until the age of 40. What is the first thing they do when they get up in the morning? They check their Twitter and emails.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, I'm one of them, so to wake me up, I have to read something, so it gets my attention.
I would ask you, does it excite you when you find a message sent to you early in the morning, once you get up and you check?
No, I check the news on Twitter because I follow CNN and all the news channels, so I check the news.
So if you see something news, anything new, does it excite you?
The information excites me.
Excites you.
Okay, Hadil, to summarize this, I mean, if we would like to control our children's use, there isn't actually any technical way that we could control the use of Facebook. But what you're saying is that raising them to know exactly what are their values, what are they standing for.
Yeah.
And then
knowing who they are.
Yeah. And then encourage them to only post what is necessary and what would probably reflect the upbringing that you have given them.
I would shift this. I wouldn't say this. I would say that the social network is the new language, the new voice of the kids. For us as a parents to communicate with our kids, apart from the fact that we're doing this out of duty as a parent, we're doing this out of love because we want them to be our kids, our friends, the rest of their life. So this is sort of a new language that we should learn as a parent to have a better and a stronger relationship with our kids. Controlling at this stage, I wouldn't really recommend, because once they're your friends, you will start seeing everything in front of you without really coming and sitting and having, that kind of discussion.
So you would say joining them rather than controlling them?
Absolutely. You cannot see. You mentioned that we can't detach. We don't need to detach. It's actually part of our life now. that you can't detach yourself from the virtual world. There's a lot of good things happening. I mean, if you go back 10 years back, we used to work like if we need any information, we struggle to get the information. The exposure of information that's out there in the virtual world made it easy. Yes, it did lost its value a little bit, but it made it like you're getting so much information now. How to make the most of this for you and for the kids. For the kids, if I may like summarize it, I will say you can have a great friends through understanding their language. This is the language they speak.
Brilliant. Just one more thing.
Okay.
Time. If we can't control that, shall we control how much they spend on that? Because I'm a strong believer to say yes to that. Because in the trend that is moving now very fast, they are spending almost all of their times
Addiction.
addicted. They became addicted
Yes.
to it, and that is, to me, is a very bad indication that they are probably declining even intellectually.
Absolutely. Controlling time is a problem that we're facing ourselves, like with the things that are happening in life. So I think it goes back to self-discipline. And yes, you do have to control the time, especially if the kids are younger. You have to give them certain time. But the thing is, what we should know, that they are way too smart in terms of technology and the new things that are happening there. So that we wouldn't know if they're doing unless we are their friends. So if we focus of creating that strong trust and friendship, so they don't mind having us on their social account, they can share anything in front of us, then I think that we can, in fact, you can control how much they spend once you're friends with them. You know, where they were online.
Exactly. One of the things, okay, Hatem.
You have to give me time to speak.
Okay, I'll let you off.
I think some of the parents choose the path of being an anonymous friend to their children, and that's a way to observe them without their kids knowing that it's my dad or it's my mom. This might be catastrophic when the child finds out that my friend is my dad or is my mom. So, is it recommended for parents to do this? Or is it better for them to be friends and be open with their children?
If you were in the children's shoes, what would you prefer?
To be a friend.
Absolutely.
Okay. Nice and sweet. Sure. Okay. We would like to remind our listeners that they could call us and share with us what their thoughts on this subject today, social networking and children, on 24602058. That's 24602058. Going back to the amount of time we spend, or the majority are spending on social networking and on the mobile phones, we have been accustomed to being very short, to have very short focus, okay, and changing the subject all the time, talking to this friend, to that friend, looking at this video, to that picture. Our life, we were created to be servants of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and part of that is sitting down, contemplating. And contemplation needs hours, or sometimes minutes, or even 5 minutes, 10 minutes contemplating. It requires that we read the Quran. And if we read one chapter or juz', that would take about 35 minutes. Isn't social networking endangering that ability if we allow them to use it for a prolonged time? I believe that we need to show some sort of control, and we might be in danger of what's in Arabic say al-ghafla. Ghafla being not, I mean, without any heed, or let's say not remembering Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the main purpose of life. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, اقترب للناس حسابهم وهم في غفلة معرضون. He is reminding us in this particular verse and saying, closer and closer to mankind comes their reckoning, yet they heed not and they turn away. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling us in this verse and the other verse that we need to always remember our main purpose, and that which is the day after. We live for the day after. In another verse, reconfirming the same concept, يَعْلَمُونَ ظَاهِرًا مِنَ الْحَيَاةِ الدُّنْيَا وَهُمْ عَنِ الْآخِرَةِ هُمْ غَافِلُونَ. They know something superficial of the worldly life, but of the hereafter they are negligent. I feel that social networking today will have to be controlled in order for us to be productive. Hatem?
I see it from both sides. What you said is absolutely true, but I see also a lot of positive activity on social networking. I see a lot of groups discussing verses of the Quran.
We have established that, but we are talking specifically now about the amount of time spent there. Is it healthy? The trends that we see today in our society, Hadeel, is it a healthy trend, or do we need to steer it in a way to a more healthy way?
Steer it in terms of what? You mean legal? Like
No,
if we're saying
not
steering,
legally. You can't legalize this.
then yeah.
Steering it in terms of raising awareness on a positive, in a wise way to use this. Not
Values, you mean?
Yeah, not by public speaking and tell them how to use Facebook and use their time wisely with it, but in each household we need to divide our times.
Yes.
Because there seems that there is no boundaries for the time we're using social network. We have specific time where we can spend with our parents. Okay, Mom, you have 5 minutes. Prayer, 5 minutes. We have boundaries for all of that. Do we have boundaries for social networking?
Dr. Wael, when we were raised up, we had things to do. Our parents assigned things for us to do. Chores, you had your homework, you had prayers, you had time to discuss things with your parents. But maybe now we don't assign tasks to our children. If you assign a task to your child and he doesn't do it, then you can, either punish them or deprive them from something that they want.
Yeah.
But if you just leave them like that, wondering, what do you expect them to do? Exactly.
And something else, developing social skills. We talked about being friends on a cyber world, on a virtual world, which is good, and I'm not against it at all. But how much time we're giving to social networking, I think we're giving it too much, and the children are giving it too much time to the extent that we are now starting to lose our ability to be able to interact face to face. Children now can't interact the way we used to interact. And these are the dangers. Please don't shy away from Facebook. We need to control. When I say control, not in a negative way. Control it in a positive way to use it wisely.
Yeah, first of all, I would say control and discipline is important for you as a parent. What does really matter, and what things that you can give up on. Socializing, yes, the teenagers are facing this issue, and I think we all face this issue with our kids. But then in the family occasions and things, if you socialize as a parent, do you bring your kid abroad with you to socialize with you? That thing, like for instance, then the phones are forbidden, for instance, or there is no internet when we travel. You can create sort of rules to create that quality time with the kids rather than quantity. Sometimes we're having quantity, but everyone is over the phone. While if you try to create that quality, even if the 5-10 minutes, because we all suffer from the time issue. If there's pills that we can take and not sleep, I'll definitely take one. But the thing is, we are all suffering from this. So if in order to control, I think it depends on you as a parent, what discipline that you're trying, or what values you're trying to seed in your kid's mind. And, values, especially values when we're talking about, you have to live them in order to make them take it. You can't make your son doing something and you're doing something else, or trying behind his back. They will know. They're too smart. The information that they know now, we didn't know them until we were 30. So we need to see this as a valuable thing, and maybe he can give you a tutorial session about what he taught, what he learned, and he can be that master, of you in certain things. for me, I'm not saying for me as an example, but you need to make the most of your kids' talent as well, to make them interact with you in different non-traditional tasks.
Yes.
And make them, when they socialize, they have to see there's something that they're getting out of this, the attention they're getting out of socializing, the appreciation, the respect, the values of who they are as Omanis, as a human. They have to understand this. So they need to understand, we need to understand in order to make them understand.
Yeah.
You see what I mean? This is
Yes.
where the gap is. We don't understand yet how social network work, and we're trying to control to not make them, so what they see as well, you're a parent, so you're not allowing me to do that, I'll do it. This is the easy, because they can do it. One of the things that I was really fascinating with, my daughter came once, and she was like, Mama, that this girl is grounded, but she's on Instagram. I was like, how is she on Instagram? She was like, there's a new software where you can do, and I didn't understand a word of what she was saying.
Yeah.
The girl was without a phone, and the girl is still on social network, on Instagram particularly. And she explained to me the technical side of it, which I didn't understand. So I'm saying that she wouldn't share this. I mean, we need to be closer to them, to see the updates.
And to understand it.
And to understand it. And then, trust me, it will be much easier for you and for them.
Hadeel, thank you. Thank you very much. You've been a wonderful guest today, and we have certainly enjoyed our conversation about social networking. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for listening to us, and certainly we are moving now towards a society where we are more inclined to be in contact with the people who are far away from us rather than people who are in the same room with us. That is social networking in a nutshell. Thank you very much. From me, Wa'il Al-Harrasi
and Hatim Al-Absalam.
Assalamu alaikum.
We leave you with the thought. We leave you with the thought of the day. This is a verse from the Holy Quran in chapter 36, verse 60 to 61. Almighty Allah says, "Did I not enjoin upon you, O children of Adam, that you not worship Satan, for indeed he is to you a clear enemy, and that you worship only me, this is a straight path." Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum.
The Modern Family. Let us bridge the gap between generations. Let us shape up the modern family. The Modern Family. The Modern Family. Join the discussion and give us your feedback. Live with Hatim Al-Abdussalam and Dr. Wa'il Al-Harrasi. The Modern Family.
Hearing the sound